Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our work session. The mayor and Councilmember Branch will be here shortly. They are joining us from a meeting for a board they are both on. Councilmember Black is absent and excused. I have checked with the city attorney, and since this is a work session and we are not planning to vote, we are going to go ahead and get started with 4 members present at the table. We have one item on our work session agenda. It is an update on our parks bond.
Good morning. I am Xiaoxin Baker with Raleigh Parks, and with me we have my engineering services colleagues together to provide an update on the 2022 Parks Bond. We're going to start out with a recap of collaboration and engagement to date, then followed by a brief reminder of the bond budget rollout. We will then get into a bit more detail on the budget status, on the project status, and then finish up with the next step actions. The bond, again, was approved by voters in November 2022 with the first round of budget becoming available in July 2023 for FY24 budget. And prior to last July, staff has jump-started with a number of tasks, including developing project charters to identify, clarify scope and roles and responsibilities and challenges of opportunities. And we recruited 4 community advisory groups for some major planning and redevelopment projects. We prepared, working with the consultant, prepared some preliminary cost estimates and established an interdepartmental task force, and of course applied for grants and going after some partnership opportunities. And since the funding became available in July, all the FY24 projects are underway. Another cross-departmental team has been working on a reporting dashboard, and we have applied for grants and established some partnerships. Meanwhile, we're finishing up a couple 2014 bond projects and also managing some deferred maintenance projects as supported by the penny tax. This round of bond projects, they're really a true cross-departmental collaborative effort. And most of the projects are co-managed by Raleigh Parks and Engineering Services, multiple divisions, including construction management for parks, roadway design, and stormwater. And every single project involves a wide range of diverse expertise from multiple departments. Externally, we cannot talk about park projects without mentioning public engagement, which is front center of what we do. Since last summer, we have conducted over 70 public meetings, including public open houses, community advisory groups, focus group discussions, as well as project site visits with the public. We have conducted online surveys, and we have tabled at other city events, such as the National Night Out and the Fourth Ward event, as well as the most recent, the Wake County Social and Economic Vitality Community at Chavis. That was this past Saturday. And we presented at CACs and HOAs. We also work with the Parks Board, the full board. Not only we work with the full board, we work with their committees, Greenway Committee and Parks Committee, for preliminary progress reviews prior to taking the milestone reviews to the full board. So we, as staff, we're really, really appreciative of all the board members' dedication and many late evenings that we have spent together. This graphic shows the bond rollout. It's a 4-year rollout for this bond, and we're currently in the 2nd fiscal year. Some of you may recall, prior to finalizing the $275 million bond total, staff proposed a original budget dollar amount being $296 million, which leaves approximately $21 million funding gap. And to date, we have secured over $10 million in grants and partnerships, including $8.6 million for Smoky Hollow from Department of Interior, and $1.5 million for South Park Heritage Walk from HUD, and over $400,000 for partnership for the neighborhood connections for Crabtree Creek Trail. And I'd like to mention that $1.5 million for the South Park Heritage Walk, that was part of a total $3 million from HUD through Congresswoman Deborah Ross's office announced last year. And that project, the total $3 million was allocated for both South Park Heritage Walk and the Dix Chavis Strollway. So half of that is for the South Park Heritage Walk. And we have not stopped there, and we still have a couple grant applications and partnerships in the pipeline, and we're going to continue to look for other opportunities to close the funding gap. At this point, if you don't mind, I would like to invite my engineering services colleagues to finish the presentation before we open up for questions.
Thank you, Shasheen. Kelly Ham, Engineering Services, Manager for Construction Management Parks Division. Excited to be here today to talk with you about status of the park bond projects. So this slide might look a little bit familiar to you. We have the park bond projects going down the slide vertically, and then as we go from left to right across the top there, we have the different phases of the project, starting early phases, RFQ and planning, and as we advance farther to the right, the phases of design, permitting, bidding, construction, and ultimately completion. City Council received an update on the status of the bond projects last October. And our achievements at that time are shown in green on this slide, and our achievements since then are shown in blue. So just a way to quickly visually show all the great progress that's being made. To talk in a little bit more detail, we have one project that's currently under construction from the bond projects, which is the Dorothea Dix Gibson Play Plaza project. That project is on schedule for completion this spring. And the reason it was able to advance ahead of the other bond projects is that it started before the bond passing the partnership with the Dix Parks Conservancy in the city. The vast majority of these bond projects are currently in the design phase. We won't take time to read them all here, but all of these projects here, as well as all of these projects on the next slide, are currently in design. So just know that there is a tremendous amount of progress being made on the design of these projects. We do have a couple projects that are still in planning. The Neuse River Park Master Plan is currently being done at this moment. Additionally, there's the Dix Park Creek and Meadow project. And then we have two projects left under contract negotiations, Mine Creek Greenway Improvements and the Neighborhood and Community Connections. And we anticipate that both of those will be moving to the design phase soon. So with that, I will turn it over to Byron to talk about the Parks Bond look ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Byron Sanders, Assistant Director for Project Administration in Engineering Services. So we've talked about how we got here, and we've talked about the current status of projects. Now I'd like to talk about a few of the things that staff are doing to ensure the timely delivery of these projects. Over the last year, we've established and staffed the Construction Management Parks Division. This is a team exclusively dedicated to managing the design and construction of parks projects. In January, Ms. Kelly Ham, who you just heard from, came over from our existing construction management group to lead this team. And in the last calendar year, we have staffed this division with 5 project managers. Just to give you some background, previously, parks projects that were managed by engineering services were split between our linear team, the roadway design and construction division, and our vertical team, the division that is currently known as construction management, public safety, and special projects. So we, over the last several months, projects that were managed by those divisions were transitioned over to this new parks division, including 16 parks bond projects. We're confident that having a dedicated division to deliver parks projects will greatly benefit the project management process. Having one primary partner allows our engineering team to focus on the aspects of project delivery that makes parks different from, say, fire stations or road widenings. We also believe that giving parks one dedicated project management resource aims to improve communication and consistency. Staff are applying lessons learned from previous transportation and parks bonds to improve our bond oversight and governance. eBuilder project management software, for which the city acquired enterprise licensing last fall, is a powerful tool allowing project managers and those overseeing project statuses to have a more transparent one-stop shop for project data and to better update project elements as they evolve over time. This increased use of eBuilder software has made way for better reporting, including the development of a Parks Bond dashboard. A cross-functional team, including the city manager's office, finance, budget and management services, parks, engineering services, and communications, are working with IT to develop a dashboard to track bond progress. This dashboard not only tracks the schedule, budget, and cash flow progress of the overall bond, but also delves into the status of individual projects. The aim is to provide a simplified view of the park's bond status, to promote transparent and accurate tracking of bond authority, bond spending, and available funding, and to promote accountability for staff involved in project delivery. So while this tool is still in development, we wanted you to get a visual representation of kind of what this tool does. So that's what the screenshots on the slide are. We wanted you to see how this tool takes a lot of information and kind of boils it down to something that's a bit more digestible. So we just took two kind of screenshots. The one on the left goes over the phases of the individual projects and then kind of pulls them together into a pie chart so that you can see kind of how the project phases are developing over time. While this was taken, this screenshot was probably taken a couple of weeks ago, so it doesn't reflect exactly where the projects are now. I will kind of point out that you'll see that about 60% of that pie chart has those projects in design. That kind of goes back to Kelly's slide earlier, where there were probably 2 slides worth of projects that were currently in design. So there's a lot of design going on. The screenshot on the right is kind of summarizes the overall $275 million bond budget. And the individual projects and their bond allotments are listed are listed at the bottom of that particular screenshot. So again, it's still a tool that is in development, but we wanted you to get a visual sense of what this tool is going to be. And also, I think it's important to mention that we intend to have not just an internal facing dashboard, but develop a public facing dashboard to again speak to more of that accountability and transparency in our bond delivery. As a companion to this effort, we are developing governance guidance for the project data that is feeding this dashboard. This important reporting tool is only as good as the data that it harvests, so staff is focused on ensuring that project data is accurate, complete, regularly updated, and occasionally audited for quality assurance. While the dashboard and governance guidance are still in development, we're excited about the future of these tools and their influence on our bond delivery. While the current focus of this oversight effort is the 2022 Parks Bond, the Parks Bond is just the beginning. IT is actively leading the effort to expand use of eBuilder to other departments across the organization. And engineering services plans to apply the project data governance that we're developing to our other project administration divisions. Our vision is to eventually apply these tools to all capital projects, improving the delivery and oversight of both bond and non-bond projects. Ultimately, we expect this effort to establish a blueprint for the city's management of future bonds and for our overall project delivery. And so that concludes our presentation. Staff is available for questions.
Thank you. What questions do we have for staff? Councilmember Patton?
Yeah, hi, thanks for this. I had on my list of questions, would the dashboard be made available to the public? You answered that one. My next question is when?
So right now, It's probably the first of the year. It's early next year before it'll be ready. Without getting well into the details, part of the challenge is we've got two primary tools that we use to kind of track money and projects. We've got the eBuilder tool that I mentioned, but we've also got PeopleSoft, where staff that's where the money lives. And so one of the challenges that IT is working through right now is bridging those things so that that money aspect from PeopleSoft can be imported into the eBuilder piece of it. But our project administration teams are actively putting project data into eBuilder such that when it is ready to kind of pull that information out and feed these dashboards, it'll be ready for that. So it's come a long way since last probably spring, earlier this year since we started working on it. I expect the public portion to maybe take a little bit longer because the internal portion is going to have a lot of detail that just isn't really important externally, but kind of synthesizing that into something that we can show publicly will take a little bit of time too. So Q1 next year.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that'll be great, and I appreciate the sort of like proactive approach to applying like a lot of structure and showing people how the money is flowing through the process. I can't tell you how many times I still hear about the 2014 Parks Bond. And so I really appreciate the just like the tight, proactive, disciplined approach that y'all are taking. Speaking of the 2014 Parks Bond, did y'all mention what's remaining? Did I miss it?
I'll cover that. There are a couple projects. The major one's Laster Mill. If you have used that trail, you can see, you'll understand that there are a lot of environmental challenges that we're going through, and we also need to work with the Campo to sort out the funding sources as well. And another one's a very, very small project, historic resources for Pope House site renovation. Council, we were about to ready to renovate the site when council about 3 years ago authorized the funding to renovate the building. And so to try to coordinate both site and the building work together, we postponed the site work, and that small project's delayed. It's very small. It's about 200,000. Yeah.
And the mayor has just arrived, but I also had a question, so maybe I'll jump in and ask real quick, unless Councilmember Branch, do you want to go?
Yeah, just one question. You say you hired 5 project managers, and I'm seeing a lot of projects that will be completing within 12 months apart or less. Do we need to hire more project managers to meet these deadlines that I'm seeing?
So that's an excellent question. One of the challenges with developing this unit is that, or this division was initially developed without creating additional positions. The positions that we used to staff this division were actually pulled from the existing roadway design and construction division and the existing construction management, public safety, and special projects division. So the positions that we have there, we were able to establish this division as we did without asking for additional positions. Now, that being said, even outside of the additional project management needs, there may be additional fiscal needs. We're currently sharing fiscal analysts between our project administration divisions in order to kind of keep the money part of this going and not asking for additional positions. That being said, we'll have to assess that as we get into the next budget cycles and see if there's a need to request for additional positions in order to meet these project management needs. During design, it's a bit more manageable because, of course, we're hiring consultants to do the actual design. We're managing those consultants. When those projects get into active construction and there's, daily oversight of those projects, then we might be having a different conversation.
Okay. Well, one thing I know, when you give people dates, they expect those dates to be met. So I'm sure during our budget process next year, that'll be discussed.
Anybody else? I have a question. On the budget gap and funding opportunities slide, You mentioned that the original budget proposal was for almost 300 million. We ended up putting forward one for 275, which left a gap a little more than 20 million, and you've secured over 10. So I'm just curious, do we anticipate being able to close the remaining gap? And of the ones that you've listed here that have received supplemental funding, are those now fully funded? For example, is Smoky Hollow Park now ready to proceed to construction? And how will the funding gap affect the, I guess, remaining items that may not have full funding right now?
There are a couple ways we deal with this. One is we design to budget. If we, like I mentioned, that there's still a couple grants in the pipeline that we're trying to collaborate with other departments on. And once those potential grants realize, and then we can incorporate that into funding and rescope very expeditiously and to not delay the project. Another one is to look at our current funding, budget, and project situation. And so far, all the FY, as Kelly mentioned, that FY24 projects are underway, and those projects are designed to the current budget. And if we do have fortunate enough to receive additional funding, those additional funding will supplement the current scope. The goal is really to not go over the bond funding that we have, and with the grant that just provides better flexibility and maybe additional amenities, but the goal is still to complete within the budget that we have.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, we will be adjourned then until our 1 o'clock meeting that the mayor will be chairing. See y'all soon.
Thank you for stepping in.